السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله حمدا كثيرا طيبا مباركا فيه، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين وبعد. Alhamdulillah, we're in the last portion of Surah Al-Naba, Surah number 78. We've covered the first two parts of the surah. We'll be doing the last about 10 ayat of the surah. And just to kind of recap where we left off, this was the connection between the first part, the opening of the surah, which talked about the different wonderful things in creation which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is bringing our attention to show that He is capable of creating amazing things. And with that, from ayat number 17 through 30, the connection was about talking about things that we cannot see, but that they do exist. And again, the question of the surah, the theme of the surah is the akhirah, the hereafter, right? So the question is, are we going to be alive after our death? And so what he's saying is, well, look at all these things I've already created. And after you establish that, then look at all these things that I'm telling you I have created, but they're yet to come. And the first of those that he described was the punishment for the people who reject the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What is the consequence of that rejection? And then he talked about إِنَّ جَهَنَّمَ كَانَتْ مِرْصَادًا لِلطَّاغِينَ مَآبًا, that Jahannam, or the hellfire, is lying in wait, is lying in ambush for those transgressors, right? For those transgressors as a place of return. And then we move on to the last 10 ayat, and the theme changes now to talk about the believers and those who accept and those who obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What will their outcome be? And this is a theme in the Quran that you see is kind of, usually this is how it plays out. There's mention of one, so there's the mention of the other. So if there's mention of punishment, there's mention of reward. If there's mention of reward, there's mention of punishment, right? And so this is something which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does. And it's also what the scholars, when they tell us, we should always be balanced in having fear of the punishment of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, yet hope in the reward of Allah azza wa jalla as well. So we don't want to go to extremes on either side. We don't want to be people who are always just fearful and scared and worried about what's going to happen, but we don't want to be just relying on hope all the time that, oh, we'll get there. Because both of those things can have negative consequences in the way we behave. So having a good balance of fear in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but yet hope in His reward, this helps us to have a balance in the way we act as well as Muslims. So Allah azza wa jalla in this ayah number 31, He says, إِنَّ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ مَفَازًا, that indeed for the muttaqeen, is translated here as righteous, is a place of success, referring to the gardens of Jannah, of course. Now muttaqeen is the fa'il, or that refers to the person who has the quality of taqwa. And among the meanings of the word taqwa are the following things you see listed here. Number one, to protect or guard oneself. By the way, if there are any sisters on that side, you can turn on the screen so you can see the notes that I have here. But the meaning of taqwa, to protect or guard oneself, right? Waqiya, that means to actually have or find a way to protect and guard yourself from something. And amongst the definitions of taqwa in the Islamic context, which I believe was is narrated from Umar radiallahu anhu, when he was asked what taqwa was, he said, if you were to walk into a bush that had thorns or something, and you were wearing a brand new garment, right? How carefully you would walk to make sure that you don't get any rips or tears on your new garment. This is how he described taqwa. This is how taqwa is. This is how you guard yourself with regards to your faith, with regards to your religion in this life. That you move through things very carefully, cautiously, being aware of what you're doing, careful of any little scratch that you get so that you can protect yourself and not damage who you are. Also those who guard themselves through obedience, a more detailed definition, through obedience or through worshipping Allah and from falling into sin. So you guard yourself from worshipping other than Allah. You protect yourself from worshipping or giving any act of worship to other than Allah and from falling into different types of sins. And it's also here those who believe in Allah's revelation and lived accordingly, because the theme of the surah is those who reject the life after death. So believing in the life after death is also a part of having this taqwa. And again, mafaz is a place of success. So Allah is telling us that in opposition to those who are going to transgress the limits and commit all sorts of evil and then believe all sorts of weird things, for the opposite, for those who obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and who accept the message, is a place of success. And within that place of success, He describes some of the things that you're going to have as a reward in there. So He mentions حَدَائِقَ وَأَعْنَابًا, that you will have gardens and grapevines, وَكَوَاعِبَ أَتْرَابًا, and young female companions of equal age. These are two things that He mentions right after He mentions the place of success. These are two things that are part of the favors or the blessings that will be given therein. Hadiqa, which is the singular of the word here, حَدَائِقَ, means a garden and specifically a garden that is enclosed by a wall. Now remember, the whole idea is the words that are being used are used because they can describe things that you can imagine what they mean, right? Because Allah has already referred to the sun, the sky, the stars, and all these things, the rain, the plants, visual things you can see. Then He's giving you imagery so you can kind of imagine what this looks like. So He mentions the word hada'iq, which shows you that people will be given gardens and they will be enclosed by these walls. Al-Naba and grapevines, right? So meaning there will be fruits that will be given. There will be food for the people of Jannah as well. And again, when it comes to the mention of the fruit or the food or the luxury of the people of Jannah, the words, while they give us some sense of imagery, they don't describe the actual enjoyment of the blessing that you'll enjoy once you're there. So, while you can taste a grape in this dunya and think, well, you may not like grapes, and well, I don't really want grapes in the akhirah, right? That's not something I want. But again, it's the taste of the fruits of Jannah will be completely different. Things that your senses have never sensed, but they will look similar, and that's what people will say, right? We used to know these things in this life, in this world, but when they taste them, they will taste completely different. And then he says, وَكَوَاعِبَ أَتْرَابًا. And kawa'iba is used to refer to a young female, someone who is young, right? They used to under the age of 30, وَأَتْرَابًا, meaning being of equal age. So they will be of equal age to each other, or they will be equal age to the people of paradise. Meaning you will be given female companionship of young females who will be of equal age either to you or all of them will be of equal age. And this is something that's described as one of the blessings of paradise, and throughout the Quran it's mentioned in various places. So this is one of the blessings that people of paradise will be given, right? And there's also mention of young boys as servants as well. غِلْمَانٌ لَكُمْ, right? They will be given as servants and things like that. So there will be people that are created for us as well in paradise to be companions for us in paradise as well. Again, more things that we can only imagine, but we can't really realize what the actuality of that will be until we see them. وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا. And he mentions, and a cup that will be filled. And in parentheses you see of wine, right? Of wine. This is basically the word ka's is used by the classical Arabs to refer to a cup of wine. So Allah says, وَكَأْسًا دِهَاقًا. And you think that this cup of wine, why is wine prohibited for us in this dunya, but there we will be getting a cup of wine, and Allah says right after that, لَا يَسْمَعُونَ فِيهَا لَغْوًا وَلَا كِذَّابًا. They will not hear anything from it of lahu and kidhab, meaning of foolishness or of falsehood, of lies, right? So meaning this drink that you will have is not going to create the same result as you see in this world when people drink what is known as this drink, right? And again, similar words being used. So just because we use grapes doesn't mean you're going to be eating the actual same grape, right? So just because wine is used doesn't mean it's the same thing. But it's to describe the kind of luxury, right? What do people do in this world when they have lots of wealth and they have lots of riches and all these types of things? What do? They have their wine glass, they sit back and they enjoy this nice cup. It's considered a luxury in this world. It's a habit of people with lots of wealth, for them to own vineyards and have wines that date back thousands and thousands of years apparently, right? So they're really, really old. The older it is, the better it is, so on and so forth. These are expensive, luxurious pleasures people enjoy. So again, the image is given, right? Relaxing in Jannah, in paradise, like an environment where you are filled with wealth and surroundings of beauty and relaxation. But this will not result in the same thing that results with regular wine. Mulana Maududi in his Tafsir mentions that at several places in the Quran, this has been counted as a major blessing of paradise, that human ears will remain secure against idle, false, and indecent talk. This is one of the blessings of Jannah. There will be no nonsensical, meaningless gossiping in paradise. No one will tell lies or belie others, nor will there be any use of abusive language, slandering, defamations, and false accusations, which are so common in this world, and especially when alcohol is involved, right? Especially when alcohol is involved. I don't know how many of you have actually seen someone who is under the influence of alcohol. Right? Usually they're not saying the nicest of things or behaving in the nicest of ways. It's a result of getting too involved in it. And also, لَا يَسْمَعُونَ فِيهَا, that they will not hear any idle talk. It refers to the glass of wine will not cause it, and it also refers to paradise. It's referring to both things. And this is amongst the beautiful uses of the Arabic language, which Allah Azza wa Jal in His kalam uses, that multiple meanings can be derived from one statement, yet it's never contradictory. This is the miraculous nature of the speech of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That using the flexibility of the Arabic language, He's giving us multiple meanings. They won't hear any idle talk as a result of the wine they drink, nor will there be any idle talk whatsoever in paradise. Because of the way the pronoun works in Arabic here, it can refer to both of these things. And this is one of the ways that we use it. And Ibn Ashur, one of the Mufassirin, the explainers of the Quran, he mentioned a beautiful point. before this ayat, when Allah Azza wa Jal mentions the extreme punishment of the people of hellfire. He said, just as Allah showed the extremes of torment that the people of hellfire will be put through, He shows us that the people of paradise will not even have to put up with the simplest of annoyances. Right? So while the people of the hellfire will be punished and tormented, the people of paradise will be so much in pleasure that they won't even have to put up with the simplest of annoyances. And you think about idle talk and lies and foolishness, these are little things, right? These are comparatively minor things, like somebody's bothering you with their speech. Right? These are pretty minor things, but you won't even be bothered with something as minor as that. It's going to be that much of a pleasurable life. And then Allah says, جَزَاءً مِّن رَبِّكَ عَطَاءً حِسَابًا. Before, what did He say? جَزَاءً وِفَاقًا, for the people of the hellfire. This is an appropriate punishment, because we think all of the type of torment that was mentioned for them, it creates kind of an image in our head that, wow, is that not too much? But Allah says, no, it's an appropriate punishment for their crimes. And here Allah says, جَزَاءً مِّن رَبِّكَ عَطَاءً حِسَابًا. That this paradise is given as a reward from your master, from your Lord, and it's a sufficient gift. عَطَاءً حِسَابًا, meaning sufficient. Why is it sufficient? Because whatever you desire in paradise will be provided for you, will be given to you. لَهُمْ مَا يَشَاءُونَ فِيهَا وَلَدَيْنَا مَزِيدٌ. As Allah SWT says, they will have whatever they desire therein, and we will give them more. And this more that's mentioned here, specifically the Mufassirin, they talk about, what is this more that Allah is saying we will give them? That is the ability to see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself as one of the final rewards in paradise, when the veil of Allah will be removed, and the people of Jannah, the people of paradise, will see Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself. This is the more that He is giving us, because once He's given us whatever we want, you think you're happy. But Allah says, no, there's more, and that is when He will show His own face to the people of Jannah. And those rewarded also will be given more than they deserve, while those that are punished are only given exactly what they deserve. This is a theme in the Quran that talks about this as well. Allah does not wrong us all, right? Allah does not do any wrong to any person. And in many places in the Quran, for example, in Surah Yunus, I believe, number 10, Allah says, لِلَّذِينَ أَحْسَنُوا الْحُسْنَى وَزِيَادَةً. For those who do good, they will be given good in return and more. وَزِيَادَة means and more. Multiplied upon that, they will be given much more as a reward. And in opposite of that, He says, وَالَّذِينَ كَسَبُوا السَّيِّئَاتِ جَزَاءُ سَيِّئَةٍ بِمِثْلِهَا. But as for those who commit evil deeds, then the recompensation for that evil deed is whatever is equivalent to what they did. So they're not going to be punished more than what they've actually earned. But the reward of people will be multiplied more than they actually deserve. And this is from the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why He says, رَبِّ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. The one who does this is the master of the heavens and the earth. وَمَا بَيْنَهُمَا, and whatever is between them. This includes creation or anything else. Whatever is possibly in existence, Ar-Rahman. And He says, the most merciful. Right after He says what? Those who do good get more. They don't just get what they deserve or what they've earned, they get more than what they earn. Why? Because He is Rabb al-Samawati wal-Ard. He is the owner of the heavens and the earth and whatever is between them. He has all bounty. He has everything. Whatever He wants to give, He can give. And why is He giving you more? Ar-Rahman, because He is the Rahman, He is the one who is most merciful. And we talked about what Ar-Rahman and Ar-Rahim mean, right? He is the most merciful. لَا يَمْلِكُونَ مِنْهُ خِطَابًا. They will not possess the ability to speak before Him. Now Allah Azza wa Jalla, this last part of this ayah is connected with the first part of the next ayah. يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ. When will they not have the ability to say anything before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? On the day when everyone will be standing and waiting for the day of judgment to begin. And the word khitab, it literally means speech, but the mufassirin, the scholars, have also interpreted to mean the intercession. And there will be different types of intercession that take place. So what we know is that once everybody, the second horn is blown and everybody is brought back to life, and people are standing around, the day of judgment will not start immediately after that. That's the resurrection time, but the time for judgment will not immediately start. And there are hadith that mention that the people will be worried, they'll be running around, they'll be in different states. Those who are good will be, kind of in an okay state. Those whose end will be bad will be suffering even in that time. And people will be trying to get things started, like, what's the next step? What's happening? And this will be a long period of time. So they will go to the various prophets that they will be seeing. And they will ask Allah Azza wa Jal to start the day, to start the reckoning, go ahead, because we don't want to deal with this anymore. So they'll go to Prophet Nuh alayhi salam, and Ibrahim alayhi salam, and Musa alayhi salam, all these different prophets, right? They'll go to them and beg them, just, ask Allah to start the day of judgment. And all of them will excuse themselves and say, I am more worried about something that I did in the world that I fear I may be held accountable for, so I'm not going to dare do that. And they will end up until they reach the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who will then go before Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will make sujood. Allah Azza wa Jal will will teach him words of praise which were never taught to anyone before, and the Prophet ﷺ will use those words, and he'll make dua to Allah, and then the day of judgment will start. So this is the first intercession. And the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ will be the one to make that intercession, to start the actual process of judgment. And then there will be other intercessions. Once the people have been divided where they're supposed to go, then the people of Jannah will be heading towards Jannah, towards paradise. And the Prophet ﷺ will intercede, will make intercession again, and ask Allah Azza wa Jal to allow the people of paradise to enter paradise. This is the second intercession that belongs only to the Prophet ﷺ. And then the third type is the type for the people who had deserved to go to the hellfire, to not be put in the hellfire. The people that were made to enter the hellfire, to be taken out of the hellfire. These are intercessions that will continue, and these will be done by the Prophet ﷺ, by the righteous, by the people who had entered Jannah, and for some of their family members, and so on and so forth. So there's different types of these intercessions that will take place. But Allah says, لَا يَمْلِكُونَ مِنْهُ خِطَابًا. Nobody will be able to do this, and He mentions the exception to that in the next ayah when He says, يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ صَفًّا. That this will happen on the day that the Spirit and the angels will stand in rows. The Spirit and the angels will stand in rows. لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا. None will speak except for the one whom the most merciful. Again, the aspect of mercy is used here. The reference to Allah is by the name of the most merciful. None will speak except whom the most merciful permits, and He will say that what is correct. So those who will intercede will only be those who will be allowed to speak, and Allah Azza wa Jal will accept their intercession. Those are the only ones that will be allowed to speak. And this also refers to just kind of the environment of that day, right? That everyone of all mankind, all the angels, all the creations will be there, yet no one will be speaking, right? No one, لا يسمعون, what's that ayah? إلا همسة. You know that, the whole ayah. No, the Hafiz. You can pull out your smartphone, the Hafiz, mashallah. So that they will hear nothing but like a whisper, right? It talks about this, they'll hear like a whisper on that day or something. So it'll be completely quiet. But imagine, you can fill a room with like 50 people, and if nothing's going on or something, people will be talking, there'll be some kind of noise. But the entirety of creation is there from beginning of time to the end of time, and it's complete silence, and the only ones speaking are the ones whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will permit. Right? So this is kind of, it shows you, it's again that imagery that Allah is giving you. Imagine what that's going to be like. But who is the Spirit here? This is an interesting point. So we know that only those who will be allowed to speak will be allowed to speak, but Allah says that يَوْمَ يَقُومُ الرُّوحُ وَالْمَلَائِكَةُ. The day when the Spirit and the angels will stand in rows. And usually when you have the word and, sometimes it's used to refer to a difference, right? Meaning that the first thing is not like the second thing. That's when the word waw or the and in the Arabic is used. Or it's for specification, meaning this is from this, but this is a specific thing that's being mentioned. So what is being mentioned here? So because of the word and, here the ulama, the scholars, they have some slight different interpretations of what the Spirit is referring to. Number one, believe it or not, some of the companions of the Prophet ﷺ have mentioned that it's another creation. They're kind of like mankind, but they're not like us, but they're like us in the sense that they eat, they drink, but they will not look anything like this. So this is something, I don't want to start throwing conspiracy theories out there, but maybe there are aliens that exist, right? But there are different creation that will be there as well, and then the angels, that's something that we haven't seen before. Another opinion is that it will be an angel who is bigger than all the other angels. A huge angel. That's why he's referred to as the Spirit. The third opinion is that these are the souls of the human beings. Ar-Ruh, even though it's definite here, the Spirit, it's referring to the spirits or the souls of mankind will be in rows, and then the angels will be in rows. And then the most common opinion, or the most seemingly correct opinion, is that it is the angel Jibreel alayhi salam, Gabriel alayhi salam. Why? Because Jibreel alayhi salam is referred to as Ar-Ruh al-Amin in the Quran. He's called نَزَلَ بِهِ الرُّوحُ الْأَمِينُ عَلَى قَلْبِكَ لِتَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. The Ar-Ruh al-Amin came down with it, referring to Jibreel, and he has sent it to this Quran to your heart. So he is referred to as Ar-Ruh. So maybe that's the specification for him, and there's other instances in the Quran when Allah mentions the angels, and He specifically mentions Jibreel or Mikael, right? He mentions Jibreel and Mikael and some other angels. And another opinion yet is that it's the Quran, because the Quran has also been referred to in the Quran as Ruhan min Amrina, Ruhan min Amrina, that we have sent down to you a spirit from our command. So the Quran has also been referred to as Ruh, something that gives life. But again, the more accepted opinion is that it is the angel Jibreel alayhi salam by himself, because of his mission as a messenger to the messengers, and then the other angels behind them as well. So again, more imagery here. Everything is quiet, and then the Jibreel alayhi salam is there. The other angels are there, they'll be standing in rows. And in other ahadith, we kind of learn the amount of angels that there are. So the Prophet ﷺ, he said that 70,000 angels make tawaf around Al-Bayt al-Ma'mur, which is kind of like the Kaaba for the angels in the heavens, right? So 70,000 of them make tawaf every single day, and they never do it again since the day that it's been created. So every single day, just imagine a lifetime that goes by in a human being, 60 years, 80 years, and you multiply every day by 70,000, that's just in your lifetime how many angels are making tawaf every day, right? So just imagine, since the beginning of time, how many angels there are that actually exist out there, but this image, this endless image of angels that are standing in line, everybody waiting for the day of judgment to start. And Allah says, ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ. The second to last ayah. This is the day, the true day. This is the reality, right? And again, the beginning of the whole surah is, what are they asking each other about? They're not sure about the akhirah, they're not sure about the hereafter. And then towards the end, Allah says, ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ. This is indeed a true day. This is something real that's going to happen. فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَى رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. So now that you know, now that you can understand this is actually real, whoever wants, let them take a way of return to their Lord. Meaning now that every single one of you knows this is what's going to happen. Just like, the sun is there, the rain comes down, the plants grow, as he mentioned in the beginning of the ayah. Know that there is a punishment set for those who reject and who deny and who consistently go against this message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And know there is a reward that is paradise for those who struggle and work hard and accept the message of Allah and do the best they can. Now that you know this, فَمَنْ شَاءَ اتَّخَذَ إِلَى رَبِّهِ مَآبًا. Whoever one of you wants, let him take a way of return to his Lord. It's beautiful that he uses the word ma'ab, a place of return. Because you're coming back, that's where you're going to go, right? This is where you're going to go. You're going to go to one of these two places. You decide which one you want to go to, right? You decide where you want to go and take the path that will lead you there. Another way to interpret this ayah is ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ. That is the day that can truly be called a day. And this is because the Arabs used to use the word yom, and they would say yom al-bu'ath, right? It was the day that we had victory in the days of bu'ath. And they would use the word day, which we still use now in English, by the way, to refer to celebratory times, right? So you have, for example, the day of your anniversary, or you have Independence Day, or you have this day and that day. We use the word day and we use that time to kind of celebrate something. And Allah says, ذَلِكَ الْيَوْمُ الْحَقِّ. That will be the day. Meaning that's the only day that you will have to really either celebrate or to be, in worry. But that will be the day. And this is kind of the emphasis that's been given to the Yawm al-Qiyamah here, or the time of resurrection. And again, the details Allah Azza wa Jal has made clear. Again, whoever wants to take whichever path they want, let them take it, because everything is on the table, everything has been made clear. And the last ayah in the surah, إِنَّا أَنذَرْنَاكُمْ عَذَابًا قَرِيبًا. Right? Why? Every one of you take whatever you want, which path you want to take, because indeed we have warned you about a punishment that is near. عَذَابًا قَرِيبًا. A punishment that is near. And specifically, some of the scholars say this ayah is targeting the specific people who were putting these questions against the Prophet ﷺ, or mocking him, or ridiculing him, that there is going to be no akhirah, we're just going to be dust. Right? That's why the word dust is mentioned in this ayah again. That after our bones have turned to dust, we're going to be resurrected again. Who's going to bring us back to life after we're just dust and we're turned into nothing? And Allah says, إِنَّا أَنذَرْنَاكُمْ عَذَابًا قَرِيبًا. The same people that are asking each other what this is about, we have warned you of a punishment that is near. So, learn the answer to your question, or stop mocking the Prophet ﷺ and what he's saying. يَوْمَ يَنْظُرُ الْمَرْءُ مَا قَدَّمَتْ يَدَاهُ. On that day, a man will observe what his hands have put forth. Meaning he will see everything that he did. Right? And we have many ayat in the Quran that tell us, وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرًا يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرًّا يَرَهُ. Whoever does an atom's weight of good will see it. Whoever does an atom's weight of evil will see it. You will be having, given the book of deeds in either your right or left hand. Everything will be there for you to see. So on that day, everyone will see, that person will see what they have put forward with their own hands. وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. And the one who will deny, the one who rejected will say, oh, I wish that I were just dust. And this is kind of going back, throwing the jest and the mocking back in their faces when they would say, who is going to bring us back to life when we're just turned into dust? And on that day, Allah says, on that day, those of you that consistently deny, continue to deny, on that day you really wish you were nothing but dust. You were nothing but dust. An interesting another opinion of this is that, and this is not something that I've seen narrated from the Prophet ﷺ, but it's something that the Mufassirin, the scholars, they mention, that al-kafir, that this is the disbeliever, like the rejecter, right? That this is referring to shaitan. This is referring to shaitan, and on that day he will say, Ya laytani kuntu turaba, oh that I were dust, meaning oh that I may have also been a human being. Meaning maybe on that day it's possible the regret of shaitan will also be that if he instead of being who he was, if he could have just been like the human beings, right? Could have been one of the humans, so that he would, once he sees them being forgiven and entering paradise and all this type of things, he will make this wish himself. This is one opinion. Again, I'm not sure if there's any narration to back this up, but it's an opinion. They're saying because the word al-kafir is specific, the kafir, right, the one who rejected, and he thought he was better than man. Why? Because خَلَقْتَنِي مِن نَارٍ وَخَلَقْتَهُ مِن طِينٍ, you made me out of fire, you made him out of dirt or mud, right? But on that day, he's going to wish that he had also been made out of mud. One opinion, but the more prevalent opinion amongst the ulama is that this will be the regret of the people whose eternity will be into the punishment of the hellfire, that they wish they were just dust. And another opinion they give is that once, because even the animals will take back their rights from other animals that were wronging them. So the Prophet ﷺ said, if there was a bull with a horn that hit another bull that didn't have horns, that other bull will be given a horn, it'll get his payback, right? Meaning every single thing will be taken care of on that day, and then the animals will just turn into dust, right? And so when the person sees that, they would say, oh, I wish that I were just like these animals, that I had just turned into dust, or that I wasn't even anything that was alive. An interesting thing about adab and qariba, a near punishment. What does it mean, near punishment? Because again, the time that these people existed, if this ayah is specifically talking about the Quraysh, the people who were denying the resurrection, well, they existed 1400 something years ago, right? It's been a long time. Depending on us, it's been quite a long time. So what does it mean, adaban qariba? And one of the meanings of this is, again, every single person, their next life starts the moment they pass away. Because the transition then starts, and then different things start happening, and there's many hadith that talk about what happens after a person passes away, where his soul is taken, what happens to the soul, how the questioning happens, what happens in the grave. All of these things the Prophet ﷺ told us about. So it's a different life that starts. The akhirah, or the hereafter, starts for the person as soon as they die. Right? Another way to explain it also is that the punishment may not be necessarily referring to the punishment in the hereafter. Punishments can be dealt out in this world and the hereafter. So adab qariban could also be referring to an immediate punishment for the tribe of Quraysh if they do not accept the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He's talking about, which they did suffer through the loss of their influence and all these types of things, and until eventually idol worship was wiped out. So again, it could be referring to this dunya or the akhirah, but both of them are near. Because number one, we don't know when we're going to die. And when we die, that is when our hereafter starts. And we start going through these next phases of our life. So the whole connection of this surah is a very beautiful connection. Number one, it starts off with the theme of the hereafter, right? That's what people are concerned about. They're not sure if it exists. Then Allah uses the creation, the sun, the moon, the rain, the plants as they come out. Because these are all wondrous, amazing things that can't just be there by themselves. And He says, look, I put these things there. So you know these things are there. You know I put them there. And just like I'm telling you these things are there and you can see them, there are things that will happen that you cannot see now, you will see later. You will definitely see later. But you get to decide which one you want to see. Right? You want to decide which one you want to see. Do you want to see this, the result of the people who are going to deny and reject? Or do you want to see the enjoyment and the pleasure of the people who struggle and work hard and through my mercy are admitted into paradise? So we ask Allah Azza wa Jal to strengthen our faith in the akhirah and the hereafter, to make us a reflection of our belief in the hereafter. And again, one of the blessings of having this faith in judgment and accountability is that you become a better human being. When you know you're going to be held accountable for the things you do, the things you say, the way you treat people, you become a better human being. And it's only when people lose sight of accountability that they start behaving in ways that are tyrannical, oppressive, and harmful to other people and to the world they live in. And we ask Allah Azza wa Jalla to strengthen our faith in that. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. If there are any questions or comments, inshallah, we can take them, inshallah. Zero, inshallah. No.
I just want, I think I heard once Ustad Nawan explaining, and I thought that it was really amazing.
Yeah.
Is that, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the punishment,
Yeah.
it's a really severe ayah that, nothing but increasing more punishment. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala start talking about the mercy.
Yeah.
And then, people who are already muttaqin, they're really merciful. But what happened to the people who are actually not doing that good right now?
Yeah.
Then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, Rabbus samawati wal ardi wa ma baynahuma rahman. So actually it's like He's giving the hope to those who are not doing that good.
Inshallah.
in
Yeah.
this
Alhamdulillah.
ayah.
Beautiful. So he talks about the people that are in the hellfire. He talks about the people that are already muttaqeen.
Yeah.
They're already going to be forgiven and given paradise. And then the people that maybe are not so muttaqeen, right? And not so high level of taqwa, but they have the rahmah of Allah, the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's another beautiful passage in the Quran that talks about, as-sabiqun, those who, rush to do good deeds. And then there are those who are in the middle. And then there's وَظَالِمٌ لِنَفْسِهِ, there's the one who wrongs their soul. But all of these people, if they have faith in Allah Azza wa Jal, beautiful ayah in the Quran. And at the end of it, Allah says, all of them will enter Jannah. Right? All of them will have Jannah. So even the person, as long as their iman is in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they're trying, they're doing their best, even if they are sinful, they're doing their best, they're seeking forgiveness for their sins, they're trying to correct themselves. Not people who just ignore the fact that they sin, right? But people who are, they're wronging themselves, but they're trying to correct themselves. Allah Azza wa Jal beautifully says, all of them will enter Jannah. So inshallah, the hope is as long as we keep our faith, and as long as we keep trying to correct ourselves, to learn, to better ourselves, then inshallah, the hope is there that we will end up in the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But at the same time, we mentioned the balance has to be there. We have to be fearful of the punishment of Allah Azza wa Jalla as well, and use that to keep us in line. Jazakumullah khair. Beautiful, mashallah. Any other comments there?
So, you wrote here afterlife starts at the moment they die, but the day of judgment is separate from that, correct?
Yeah, so there are basically 3 periods you're going to go through. One is this life, and then when you die, when you're in kind of a transition phase, meaning that the day hasn't started, but you still exist as a soul, and you will be experiencing things in the grave or out of the grave, however it's going to be. But we don't know too many details about that part, right? But we know there's going to be that time in between, where people are going to be in their graves as souls and all these kinds of things. And there's mention of what happens when a person dies. The soul is taken out. And the thing is, you start getting hints about your end, where you're going to end up the moment you die. The way your soul is taken out is a hint as to what you're going to face in the judgment day. So if it's taken out nice and easy, or if it's taken out harshly, right? The way you're treated by the angels that are taking your soul up is going to be an indication, right? Even your grave will turn either into a place of pleasure or a place of punishment. Meaning a window will be opened up and you will be shown where you're going, right? You'll be shown where you'll end up. And if you're going to paradise, you'll be shown your home in paradise. If you're going to the hellfire, you'll be shown your home in the hellfire. So these are indications that will start. And then the resurrection happens. And then you won't know anything again because you'll start from all over. Now you're concerned, you're worried, you're going to face your judgment with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So this is the final phase where you will go through various different stages and until you end up in your place. And it's a long period of time. People tend to think that, okay, we're going to get up, we're going to go to a judgment, we're going to get our books, we're going to go and we're going to be... No, it's going to be an extremely, extremely long period of time, and this is what Allah Azza wa Jalla has decided. This is the process that He's going to take. So, imagine thousands of years, maybe even. This is a long period of time that will be there. But those who will end up in Jannah will be going through that time in ease, right? It will be easy for them. It will be faster for them, and so on and so forth. Those who are not going to end up in paradise, then even that transition, that time as well, will be difficult for them. And again, these are indications of when they're going to end up. So this is, we live a short life here, but then that next phase will be a long period of time. Allah knows how long it will be. Yeah. Hassan.
But it's not like somebody who died like 100 years ago, so they have 100 years to live, right?
So interestingly enough, some of the scholars even talk about that. What happens after you die? There's a perception of time. Is it the same as a living human being or not? And from what I understand, it's not. And because when the Quran, when it mentions is the last ayah of Surah Al-Nazi'at. Come on. كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. That they will think that they only were here for like a day or a day and a night in this world when they actually wake up. So the perception of time is something that's going to be different. So Allahu A'lam, if the person that passed away hundreds of years ago is just sitting there for hundreds of years, or the perception of time is different. These are unknown things that we're not really told. Allah knows best. Any other questions or comments, concerns? Kareem, nothing? No. Yes.
The ma'ab, is there another meaning of ma'ab? Is like shelter or
Abba, it means when you to come back to something.
Is it?
Yeah, that's as far as I'm not sure if you do come back to a place generally, which is a place of refuge. It's used to refer to people when they return home and things like that. So,
I
yeah.
thought that in this particular ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala he's changed his outlook about his obedience.
Mm.
He's showing that his shelter, actually it's not benefiting him. It's
Yeah.
actually us taking the shelter of
Yeah.
him.
And other places in the Quran, definitely, it's referred to as an abode, a shelter, and things like that. But as far as I know, a ma'ab just means a place of return. But I would imagine the place where you would return, meaning you would go back to, would be a place you feel safe and comfortable in. So,
So exactly, that's why it's supposed like he's inviting to his obedience, but at the same time he's inviting to his shelter.
yeah.
So it's just parallel with that.
Alhamdulillah. These are very, very, the more you think about these ayat, they're very, very powerful. Yeah. Especially when you try to connect between the beginning and the middle and the end. It's a really powerful, it's a whole cohesive unit here. Yeah. Jazakallah khair. Yeah, inshallah. Jazakumullah khair. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك اشهد ان لا اله الا انت استغفرك واتوب اليك.